Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayurada Madhava Kundabiyari Jayurada Madhava Kundabiyari Gopi Jana Balava Girivadadari Gopi Jana Balava Girivadadari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayurada Madhava Kundabiyari Jayurada Madhava Kundabiyari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Brajagacharya Asto Tarasadashi Shriman His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Brajagacharya Asto Tarasadashi Shriman His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsi Goho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktanand Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur vimukti-dam Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Jagat Ki Jai Brihat Bandanga Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai, Nrsimha Bhagavan Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Vaishnav Sangha Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Shri Shri Guru and Garanga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing the reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23. Text number 57, which is the last verse of this chapter, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. Sāhaṁ bhagavato nūnam vañcitā māyayā dṛḍham tvām vimukti-dam prāpya na mumukṣeya bandhanāt, sāhaṁ bhagavato nūnam, vañcitā māyayā dṛḍham, tvām vimuktidaṁ prāpya, na mumukṣeya bandhanāt, sāhaṁ bhagavato nūnam, vañcitā māyayā dṛḍham, tvām vimuktidaṁ prāpya, na mumukṣeya bandhanāt. Vaishnav. Vaishnavis. One more. Word meanings. Sa, that very person. Aham, I am. Bhagavataḥ, of the Lord. Nūnam, surely. Vañcitā, cheated. Māyayā, by the illusory energy. dṛḍham, solidly. Yat, because. tvām, you. Vimuktidaṁ, who gives liberation. Prāpya, having attained. Mumukṣeya, I have not sought liberation. Bandhanāt, from material bondage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Devahuti speaking. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. Purport. An intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. The first opportunity is the human form of life, and the second opportunity is to take birth in a suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is rarely obtained. The greatest opportunity is to have the association of a saintly person. Devahuti was conscious that she was born as the daughter of an emperor. She was sufficiently educated and cultured, and at last she got Kardama Muni, a saintly person and a great yogi, as her husband. Still, if she did not get liberation from the entanglement of material energy, then certainly she would be cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy. Actually, the illusory material energy is cheating everyone. People do not know what they are doing when they worship the material energy in the form of goddess Kali or Durga for material boons. They ask, "Mother, give me great riches. Give me a good wife. Give me fame. Give me victory." But such devotees of the goddess Maya or Durga do not know that they are being cheated by that goddess. Material achievement is actually no achievement, because as soon as one is illusioned by the material gifts, he becomes more and more entangled, and there is no question of liberation. One should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. That is called karma yoga or jnana yoga. Whatever we have, we should use as service to the Supreme Person. It is advised in Bhagavad Gita, svakarmana tvam abhyarcha. One should try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's assets. There are many forms of service to the Supreme Lord, and anyone can render service unto him according to the best of his ability. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. Om Gyanantamiyandasya Janan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Minitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, ending this chapter, the next chapter is the renunciation of Kardama Muni, and then after that, continuing discussions between Devahuti and Kapila about very, very deep philosophical points. Sometimes this is discussed as being the most philosophical part of the Bhagavatam, at least one of the more philosophical parts. So it's interesting that he's explaining this to his mother. That's a whole commentary on itself. But I wanted to first thank all of the devotees who are here from around the world, and maybe some online. Thank all of you for, as Prabhupada describes here, for using your talents, your abilities, and your assets to please the Lord and spread Krishna consciousness. And also, of course, thank the organizers for giving me a chance to speak today. The fact is, we all know as time goes by, we realize that without the association of devotees, we would have no standing in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we may think that, well, by the strength of my own devotion, I don't need, this person's a troublemaker, and this person bothers me, and I don't like this one, I don't like that one. But actually, it's only by the association of devotees that we can somehow remain in Krishna's service. And we see as years go by, as is described here, how tricky and insurmountable the material energy is. So we need the association of devotees, and we should never forget how rare, again as Prabhupada describes it, the greatest opportunity to have the association of a saintly person or saintly persons. Somehow or other we have that blessing. We should always remember that. So just a few moments just to mention this, as hopefully we're all remembering, this is the 60th anniversary of this great institution. 60 years is pretty significant. I know in the GBC College for Leadership, I was enrolled that a few years ago during COVID, and in one of the sessions they talked about, there was a section on sociology of religion, and they were describing in there that most religious movements don't last 50 years, and especially after the passing of their founder. They just fall apart, you know, and there's a lot of them. But somehow or other, ISKCON is continuing on, so the fact that we've reached the age of 60 is not a small thing, and we should really try to celebrate that in a big way. Jai, Haribo. ISKCON's 60th anniversary ki. And the year after that is the 50th Tirabhav of Srila Prabhupada. It'll be 50 years since Srila Prabhupada left this world. So that's another commemoration that's important for all of us to recall. And the year after that, of course, we're looking forward to that same year. We're looking forward to the opening of the TOVP in 27, 28. So it's a very significant period of time for us. And it's really a huge opportunity to focus our attention on Srila Prabhupada, our founder Charya. We know if we don't do that, we will not last as a movement. There's lots of different centrifugal forces to give us reason to separate. Braj Vilas yesterday in the MEB meeting, he was reading a quote from Srila Prabhupada who was saying, if we're not careful, we'll be influenced by racism. So whatever it is, racism, casteism, sexism, ageism, there's so many different reasons to separate us. But if we keep our founder Charya and his mission in the center of our hearts and of all of our communities, then we'll be successful. So this year is a chance to really focus our attention, even more than ordinarily, on Srila Prabhupada and the great achievements that he has manifested, and of course Lord Chaitanya's mood and his mission and that of Lord Krishna. And I pray and I beg that all of you are planning major events. Don't let this go by. Whatever, there's a lot of temples represented here. Don't let this opportunity to go by to draw the attention of the world, to draw the attention of your region, draw the attention of your city, to ISKCON, to Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada during these 2 years. And we can do that through special festivals, special events, VIP interactions. It's a great time to say, hey, you know, call your mayor. You've never been to our temple. It's our 60th anniversary. As the years go by, there's a good chance the mayor's less than 60 years old themselves. So it's a good opportunity to tell them this is something very, very special. The mayor, the governor, the chief minister, etc. And invite the media. And the simplest thing, of course, is just begin, as we say, 60izing our festivals. We all celebrate Gaur Purnima, so make this the 60th celebration of Gaur Purnima in ISKCON around the world. It's the 60th celebration of Janmashtami, the 60th celebration of Rath Yatra. That in itself will draw attention. It will enthuse us, and it will enthuse the congregation and enthuse people around us, because again, a lot of organizations, religious organizations included, don't last 60 years. So we should try to get creative. Another thing we should think about, to whatever extent we appreciate or value the association of Prabhupada's direct disciples, got news for you, we're fading fast. Every year, a few more Prabhupada disciples pass away. I don't know how many of us are going to be around for the 70th or the 75th anniversary of ISKCON. Probably not a few, maybe some, but not a whole lot. So if you want to consider this also a special year to have Prabhupada's disciples directly involved and somewhat physically fit to participate, this is the year. So just like in New York City, where it all began, they like to say 26th Avenue, this is where it all began, because it did. They've done a lot of work in the last couple of years beautifying 26th Avenue. If you haven't been there recently, please come. You enter, you really feel the presence of Srila Prabhupada. They've made it all kind of, they've got some, I think, a temple in Germany, I believe, donated the original painting of Radha and Krishna that was behind Prabhupada. They have a lot of like the original things that were there when Prabhupada was there. So please come take advantage of that. And New York City, the whole yatras, there's a few temples there, especially under the leadership of Brooklyn. They're organizing a huge gala event for like 500 people to draw attention and celebrate what's happening, you know, ISKCON 60th. So we all can be thinking like that. Please don't let it pass. It really is an opportunity to do that. And we know Prabhupada liked big events, because big events gives a chance to have a big splash. And Prabhupada was very creative in his big events when his disciples came and said, Swamiji, we want to have a mantra rock dance. Never in history, to my knowledge, had there been anything called a mantra rock dance. But Prabhupada saw it as an opportunity for preaching. So we should think big. Prabhupada said one time at least, he said, I have one disease. I can't think small. I can only think big. So as his followers, we also have to think big. So I know in New York, they're thinking big. There's a little worry, is it too big? But they have faith that Krishna is going to help us make it a success. So please take that to heart. It's a big year, this year and next year and the year after. 60th anniversary of ISKCON, 50th Tirabhav commemoration of Prabhupada, and then opening the TOVP. So in today's verse, Kunti and her Devahuti. Devahuti in her humility continues to lament that she feels she was not focused on achieving pure devotional service to the Lord. The whole chapter is entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. And just to finish with the last topic, similarly, we should be careful we don't end up lamenting that we missed the opportunity for the 60th anniversary or the 50th Tirabhav. Don't end up lamenting. Take advantage of the opportunity. In the spirit of Devahuti, make sure we take that seriously. So particularly, she is saying here, I was cheated by the illusory energy. And Srila Prabhupada, in his beautiful purport, he explains that an intelligent man should utilize the good opportunities that they have in life, or that we have in life, to make spiritual progress. Just like Devahuti, she was the daughter of an emperor. Prabhupada explains in the purport, reminds us. She was the wife of Kardama Muni, a great sage, and she was the mother of Kapila. So we, of course, don't have that level of opportunities, but we also have fantastic opportunity we shouldn't waste. We have the human form of life. We have the ability to inquire and to sit here in Bhagavatam, to travel from around the world, to visit Mayapur, to take advantage of that. We may not have taken birth from the family of the emperor, but many of us, our families assisted us in our spiritual life. I know these days there's more and more second and third generation devotees that were actually born into devotee families. And even those who are older, even some of us, our families were not supportive, but we're still here. At least they didn't completely block us. They may have even attempted to do that, but we're still here, which means even the most inimical families weren't successful. And we absolutely have the association of the saintly person. Again, as time goes by, we realize more and more we're fortunate to have the association of so many Vaishnavas. We're fortunate to have so many Siksha Gurus. We have our Diksha Gurus. We have so many the sources of associating with Krishna. And especially, we should never minimize how blessed we are, again, to have Srila Prabhupada as our founder Acharya. I might have mentioned this last year, but I would encourage the devotees, if you haven't seen it, the 50th anniversary, there was a special event at Harvard University. I don't know the name, but you can Google it, ISKCON 50th anniversary at Harvard. And there's a 16-minute video with different scholars speaking and things about ISKCON and their challenges. And I'll just mention this, for me, the thing that's most phenomenal is one scholar, Thomas Hopkins, who was the first Western scholar to interact with ISKCON and study ISKCON. He's giving a keynote address. He passed away a couple of years ago, a very nice man and scholar and friend of ISKCON. And in his address at Harvard University, where he's putting his academic credentials on the line, he explains, as a historian of religion, if I look at the contributions of Bhaktivedanta Swami, I have to make comparisons. He said, and as a historian, if I look in the history of humanity to find a comparison, I only find two people, he said, I'm not saying he said, I'm quoting him, I can only find two people in history to compare Bhaktivedanta Swami with. Who do you think those two were? Jesus and Muhammad. At Harvard, he makes a claim like that. And then he went on to say, actually, it's a difficult comparison. It's not a fair comparison, because Jesus was in his own country, in his own culture, and he had people his own age to help him spread his message. Muhammad similarly was in his own country, his own language, his own culture, and had family and friends to help him. He said, Prabhupada, compared to that, was in a foreign country, nobody to help him whatsoever. He was one person at the age of 70, launching this movement. And then he goes on to say, this is the 50th anniversary. We'll see. We're here to study for those 3 days what's happening with this company. He said, compared to Islam and Christianity, he said they were having serious problems after 50 years. So we also know we have problems. This is the nature of the material world. If you don't have any problems, congratulations. You've made it back to the spiritual world entirely. Otherwise, the rest of us, we face problems. So he was explaining that this is the phenomenal contribution of Prabhupada. So we should be aware of that. It's not just that Prabhupada is there for us to throw some flowers at his feet at Guru Puja, or we celebrate his appearance at Vyasa Puja. Prabhupada permeates this movement. And as long as he continues to permeate this movement, it's unstoppable. But if we let things come between us, if we start thinking, well, I'm a Bengali Vaishnava, you're an American Vaishnava, or I'm a Vaishnava and you're a Vaishnavi, or I'm a brown Vaishnava, you're a white or a black Vaishnava, or I'm an American Vaishnava, you're a Russian Vaishnava. That means we haven't understood anything. That's the first instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, is we're not the body. So we start thinking spiritually, we're the body, that means it's not spiritual. So we have to be very, very careful. And we know, just like here it's described, Devahuti is concerned Maya's going to cheat her. Maya has cheated her, she said. The illusory energy of the Lord has cheated her. So we should know this is the way the illusory energy of the Lord will cheat us. She will minimize the effectiveness of our movement. How? By seeding discontent within. It's just standard military procedure. If you can, like in the Mahabharata, everybody had spies planting seeds of discontent. So we should see when that discontent comes, when those thoughts of separation, those thoughts of minimization of the contributions of others, that's Maya. And that's how she's going to attack us. We should be very, very careful about that. So we too have excellent opportunities, not quite at the caliber of Devahuti, but again, we have the human form of life, we have the association with Srila Prabhupada and all the saintly persons. But we too have to be very, very careful that we're not cheated. As Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, he says there's danger even on the royal road. And again, our society has been 60 years now. A lot of times you see devotees you haven't seen for some time. It's like, whoa, it's so good to see you. Hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? That's a good question. I haven't seen him or her in a long time. What did happen to them? Well, we know what happened to them. They got pulled away by some materialistic thought. Possibly those of us, all of us, we're all leaders. Possibly we didn't do everything we could have done to help them maintain their connection with Krishna, or perhaps they're connected with Krishna but they're not connected with ISKCON. But that's unfortunate. So we have to be very, very attentive to try to keep everybody in the fold. And Prabhupada is making the point here about being illusioned by the material energy. He says in the purport, very strong statement, material achievement is no achievement. Material achievement is no achievement. So we need to be careful, because the first symptom of being re-entangled, we're not out of being entangled, but being re-entangled even more, of this material consciousness is pride. And it's such a bewildering energy for all of us. We know I think it's biblical. Pride cometh before the fall. And we've seen that with so many devotees in the past. You get proud, and then you fall. It's also expressed the pauper even is proud of their penny. So we may have a few pennies in our pockets, and we become proud of those things. And then this pride becomes the source of illusion, So whatever assets we have, Prabhupada explains here, we should know they're the gifts of the Lord. I mean, the fact that I can speak is the gift of the Lord. The fact that I can see a little bit still, it's the gift of the Lord. The fact that I can hear is the gift of the Lord. The fact that I can walk is the gift of the Lord. And the nature of this world is those even simple, in one sense they're complex, but we take them for granted, those abilities. They're all gifts. Those can be taken away in any moment. I flew here on Swiss Airlines, so stopped in the Zurich airport, which I normally don't come through Zurich. And I like to look in the bookstores and just see what's on people's minds these days. I have to go back and look for the book again, but there's some biography of some, I hadn't heard of him, apparently some very successful European businessman. And it's a big, thick book. Jai Shishiranamādhava Ki Jai. A big, thick book about his life. It was big. I was just read the cover. And it was describing that he had some big business, and he sold it at one point to Hewlett-Packard. I don't remember his name. Maybe some of the European devotees know. I think the number was like $4 billion. So he had a lot of assets. Then it describes, because they're trying to get you to read the whole book, how he got involved in all kinds of legal problems after that. But he succeeded in getting out of the legal problems over a few years of difficulty. And then he was in the Turkish Mediterranean Sea, and one of his boats, the boat sank, and he with his 5 daughters all drowned. It's like one of those classic, you win, you lose, you win, you lose. At the end, everybody loses. So that's why Prabhupada says, material achievement, there's no achievement. So whatever gifts we have, we should know they're going to fade. We may have money, we may have a powerful brain, we may be beautiful, we may have so many different strengths that we have. But Krishna can take them away at any time, just like this man. He was so successful. And every day, practically, there's another story like that. You know, some mine crashes and 50 people die, or it's just every day. You know, even where I live in the States, just some snowstorm. Just snow. It's a pretty simple thing. People die. You know, too much wind, people die. Too much rain, people die. Too much sun, people die. It's a very precarious situation. So if we keep that in mind, and whatever opportunity I have, as Prabhupada is saying, we should use that time to realize Krishna. And to be very, very careful that we don't slip off and slip again, being entangled in the material world. First and foremost, as a global institution, the danger of pride and thinking that we are the doers. It's true whether we're individuals achieving so many things or as a community. And I was thinking this morning, in the past, and still in some places today, you visit an ISKCON temple, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little small place on some side street in the middle of nowhere, and devotees are working really hard just trying to pay the bills. And it's pretty tough to be puffed up when you're struggling like that. And again, where I live years ago, different here in India, different attacks. But you know, in the first so many years, we were accused of being, you know, we're crazy. You know, how can anybody give up intoxication and meat eating and just sit down and chant a mantra all day long? You people must be crazy. Or you must have joined some type of dangerous cult. But that's changed in a lot of places in the world, and it may be more dangerous now. When people are accusing you of being brainwashed, you got to go pretty deep in your commitment about why we're here. Because the whole rest of the world may think you're crazy. You got to be very convinced about why you're not. But when people glorify you, and when people praise you, it's more dangerous. It's more dangerous. So in the past, we had all these little tiny places. Today, in our society, we have palaces. We're building palaces. This is the preeminent one here, palaces. Again, in America, so many temples are coming up, big palaces. But it's so easy to become bewildered into thinking that actually it's my opulence because of my endeavor. Or even worse yet, to think we're better than anybody else. Sometimes you see pictures, you know, here's how big our temple is and here's your church. You know, like, where's that coming from? What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Whoever builds a bigger building for me is the most dear to me. I don't remember that verse. Of course, we build big buildings, and this is, you know, glorious and it's wonderful, and so many people are going to come. Yet, we need to maintain the right mentality that we're just the servants of the servants of the servants. And then when people come here, they'll be impressed by the building, but what they really want to see is how are they treated. That's what they really want to see. Beautiful building. What's it teaching you? What kind of people are you becoming? How do you interact with each other? So it's too easy to start thinking, well, I must be important because I have the phone numbers of so many ministers or congressmen or senators. Or just like these days, you know, we can compare lists. How many followers do you have on social media? I have 10,000. Oh, I have 15,000. Oh, I have 1.5 million. That's glorious if we use it for Krishna. But if we start thinking I'm the doer, or they're coming to listen to me. They're not coming to listen to you. You're being a little bit empowered in the gift of Krishna to represent some of his teaching. That's what's happened. Krishna can shut our tongue down in a second. It happens all the time. So, just like Prabhupada said, sometimes we may begin to think, I'm a big, big devotee. I have so many followers, so many friends. I've won so many awards, so many different achievements. I'm invited to so many weddings. I'm invited to so many big, big birthday parties. We can start thinking like that. But we should remember, Prabhupada said, in my movement, there are no big devotees. That's what our founder Acharya said. He said, in our movement, there are no big devotees. There's only small devotees. So if we start thinking, I'm a big devotee, maybe we're not in this movement anymore. Because Prabhupada said, if you're in this movement, you're a small devotee. There are no big devotees. Again, if we start thinking, I'm a big devotee, maybe we've left the movement. So we have to be very, very, very careful. So in some ways, it may seem very difficult. Just like Devahuti, she's lamenting, how am I going to get out of this illusion? It's so strong. There's a few verses ahead. I meant to bring it, but it's coming up in the next chapter. There's a beautiful verse that describes, by glorifying the Lord, we lose our attraction to material energy. Because, sometimes I just think, Krishna, your energy, it's too strong. I've been chanting for 50 years, trying to serve. It's like, it's too strong, Krishna. It's just too strong. But in this beautiful verse, Lord Kapila is explaining that if you just go on glorifying the Lord, we will all gradually lose our attraction for the material energy. So Prabhupada is saying, how do we do that? We use our assets in the service of the Lord, whatever we have. And of course, this is the whole message of bhakti. It's the message in the Bhagavad Gita. It's the message chapter after chapter, verse after verse. Whatever you have, no matter who you are, whether you're rich or poor, man or woman, educated, not, black, white, brown, doesn't matter. That's our message. That's the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The world is so polarized these days. It's hellish how polarized it is. In my country, they got private armies going around and arresting people on the streets. They're shooting people, and the government is saying, we're not going to prosecute them because they're acting on behalf of the government. This is in so-called America, land of the free, home of the brave. If it's happening there, and it's been happening in so many ways in so many places, this is Kali Yuga. It's the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. We have to stand against that. We have a mission. Prabhupada didn't cross the ocean to seek Indian people. He crossed the ocean and he attracted hippies. He didn't go to Russia to look for religious people. He went to Russia, the land of atheism. When he went to Africa, we know he chastised Brahmananda. He said, wonderful you're here and thanks for all that you're doing, but you're only talking to Indian people. We know that beautiful story. And they said, well, Prabhupada, they're the only ones that are coming. Prabhupada said, rent a hall in the African neighborhood and we'll have a program. So they rented a hall and they started the program. There's nobody there. And I'm sure some of the devotees were kind of thinking, well, Prabhupada, we told you so. Prabhupada said, open the doors and start the kirtan. Within a few minutes, it was full of people chanting, black people, African people chanting Hare Krishna. And I'm sure Prabhupada was thinking, I told you so. So in the same way, people said, Swamiji, you're going to go to the West, you got to learn to eat this way, that way, and they're not interested. He said, no, this is my mission. Lord Chaitanya, he said, he's in his prayers in Boston, I don't really know why you brought me here, but I have faith in the holy name. And we can see because of one person's faith, we're all here. We're all here because of that one person's faith, because he had conviction that hearts could be changed by this process of bhakti. And Prabhupada says that in the conclusion of his purport. He says there's many types of service. Anyone can render service to Krishna. That's our message, That is we have to keep true to that message. If we start discriminating against people, then it's over. The method that brought us here is finished, because it means we've allowed caste consciousness, body consciousness, material consciousness enter into our society. And we can't let that happen. It's just like on book distribution. You can't stand on the street and think, well, here's a pretty woman, I'll give her a book. Here's an ugly woman, I won't give her a book. This guy looks rich, I'll offer him a book. Well, this guy looks poor, I'm not going to offer him a book. But this is, whatever material ways of measuring people, we know we can't do that. That's not our movement. If that was our movement, I wouldn't be here. And all of us should think about, our past. Maybe there's a few Paka Brahmanas here, but according to the Shastra, there are no Paka Brahmanas in this age. So you're not a Paka Brahmana if you think you're a Paka Brahmana. Lord Chaitanya came to save the fallen. That's our mission. It's especially their mission. So Prabhupada, he crossed the ocean, not for the followers of Vedic rites, but he came to save the most fallen. And that's the mercy of our movement. And we have to be very, very careful. We don't forget that. The Lord Chaitanya's mission is described. He broke open the storehouse of the love of God, and he didn't discriminate. It's right in the Shastra. He did not discriminate who was a fit and who was an unfit candidate. And every one of us should think, I'm only here because he didn't discriminate. If he discriminated, I wouldn't be here. I'd be the first person they'd close the doors. Nope, you can't come in. And if our society turns into be, you can't come in, you can't come in, you can't come in, where's Lord Chaitanya's spirit? Where's Lord Chaitanya's mood? It'll be lost. So, we're very fortunate. We have both the teaching and the example of Srila Prabhupada, who gave us so much insight. So we mentioned he went to America, attracted hippies. He went to Russia, attracted atheists. So he never said you're not qualified. We should all study it over this next couple of years if we haven't read it already. Lilamrita, we should study it very carefully to understand Prabhupada's mood, so many other beautiful biographies of Srila Prabhupada. And just like Lord Kapila, he's about to explain one of the most complex philosophical sections of the Bhagavatam to his mother. Now, I might have missed the verse, but I don't think he starts out by saying, you're not qualified to learn this. Is that in there? Why is this in the Bhagavatam? What's the message of the Bhagavatam? Why did Prabhupada welcome black people? Why did Prabhupada welcome white people? Why did Prabhupada welcome, sometimes people say, well, all our guru, we should follow Prabhupada's footsteps, the first 11 people that were gurus in ISKCON. That means they all should be American. Sorry, everybody else. Right? No blacks, no Indians, only white Americans. That was the first 11. And we bow our feet at them. Some of them, the battle was too tough and they got pushed to the side by Maya at some point. But we honor them because of the sacrifices that they made. But we don't think that's like some bodily definition of who can actually spread our movement. Again, we don't go on Sankirtan and offer the book to certain people, but not other people. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that he never said your birth is too low. I can't explain Krishna consciousness to you. And Prabhupada never also said you should have private events, right? Like Lord Chaitanya, just down the street. He didn't say, no, keep the kirtan inside. We don't want those people attracted. He didn't say that. And he was criticized. And the government tried to shut him down. They used all of their power to try to shut him down. Because they said, what are you doing? You're going out attracting low-class people. Did that stop him? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was taking the other side of our Krishna tradition. He was going on parikram to Vrindavan and many other places, and they were closing the doors of the shops and stoning some of the people on the parikrama. And he was told by a police officer, watch out. They've approached me to look the other way. People want to assassinate you. That's pretty serious stuff. They're going to try to assassinate you. He didn't stop because he knew what was Lord Chaitanya's mood. He knew what was right. Srila Prabhupada, so many people criticized him. So many people criticized him. Like when Prabhupada came back to Vrindavan, they were criticized. Look at your followers. They're all, fallen people. Prabhupada said in reference to Malati with the Sangha, I think it was here, with some of his godbrothers, and he made some comment like, she will die for me and I will die for her. He said that to his sannyasi godbrothers. Now why did he say that to his sannyasi godbrothers? What was his inspiration to say that? What was his conviction to say that? What was his empowerment coming from Lord Chaitanya and from his own spiritual master, taking that mood upon himself? How much did he understand? He could have felt that way, but don't say it. Not to these people. But he said it to them. So that's our founder Charya. And as he said here, As we know from the Shastra, it's Kali Yuga. Everybody's disqualified. Doesn't matter who you are, rich, poor, good looking, not so good, really educated, not so, it doesn't matter. We are disqualified. As soon as we start thinking we're qualified, we're disqualified. Isn't it? As soon as we think we're qualified, we're disqualified. Our only qualification is our disqualification. That's the nature of Krishna in this age. That's the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And it's a really glorious mission. And we should be, in a spiritual way, so happy and, of course, a little proud in a humble spiritual way to be able to participate that. And we should see ourselves as guardians of that mission and guardians of Lord Chaitanya's desire to take Krishna consciousness into our hearts as best we can, to share it with others without discrimination. That's the mission. It's a simple one. Become Krishna conscious and give people Krishna consciousness without discrimination. So Devahuti is giving us her nice insights here. Her own lamentations, she's thinking, I have so many opportunities, but I didn't take advantage of them. So a reminder to us, we should think, I have so many opportunities. They're the gift of the Lord. Let me not misuse them. Let me not become proud. And Krishna is very kind to help us. I had experienced this funny little story. You all have so many stories, so here's one of my little stories this year. We live in a second story, in India, I guess would be first story apartment. And I was having one of those rare days, everything was going right. People answered the phone, tasks were getting checked off, look for stuff online and you find it. It's like, at the end of the day, like, wow, this is a really good day. Rare, this is a really good day. And I came downstairs and I was thinking, wow, this is a really good day. And I was thinking, this is such a really good day. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had smashed into my car. And I looked up, somebody had smashed into my car. Just sitting in the parking lot in front of our driveway, in front of our apartment building. And I thought, well, thank you, Krishna. That's so kind. Because if you don't give me a little dukkha, I start getting carried away with the sukha. And if you don't give me a little infamy, I get carried away with the fame. And if you don't give me a little distress, I get carried away with the success. So this is his kindness on all of us to remind us that we need to take shelter of him. We need to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We need to take shelter of each other and help each other and dedicate our lives to, we've been given this fantastic gift, just try to give it to others. Describe, that's all the spiritual master asks. Try to repay. Prabhupada says, I believe it's the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, it's impossible to repay the debt we owe to the spiritual master. It's too great. It's too great a debt, but we should try. And the way we try to repay that debt is to give Krishna consciousness to others. And the quality of that is without discrimination. We start thinking, no, I'm above these people, I'm above those people. We become useless. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was describing yesterday, some of Dvaitacharya's sons are described as useless. We don't want to become useless. We want to become useful. We may be small. It's like in America that sometimes you see this bumper sticker. It's kind of nice. It says, very simple, sophisticated American English, God don't make junk. Junk is trash, right? God don't make junk. So he, in a sense, made all of us. We're all expansions of Krishna's energies, and we're very, very, very small. He's very, very big. But he's the source of us. And we may have this qualification, this disqualification. We still can be used as instruments. That's the glory of this movement. Although we have so many disqualifications, we can be used as instruments if we remain humble. And if we lose our humility, we lose our ability to change the world. We lose our ability to change the world, we become the cause of a lot of suffering in the world because we could have changed it and we didn't. So we have a great opportunity. So somehow it's 10 minutes to 9. I always have this tendency to go late, but there's time for questions or comments anyone would like to make at all. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Bhatni Rai Maharaj is over here with a question. Welcome to Mayapur.
I just got in late last night.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna. God doesn't make junk. And yet, there's
variations. There's the three modes of material nature. There's evil people. There's
Evil
the
what?
there's
It's
the
the evil what? I missed it.
varnashram dharma.
Evil what? I just missed that word. You said there's evil, I think you said?
There's
The evil
there's
people. Okay,
with-
okay, got it.
So I'm saying that it seems that everyone's spirit soul, definitely, everyone ultimately, we understand the purity and divinity of every jiva. At the same time, there's variance, there's nuance, there's the modes of material nature, there's people with malicious intents, there's people that are very dull, drunkards. So how do you fit all that in? It's not that everybody's pure and good and I just have to love it out with them, hug it out and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, good question. I like the description Srila Prabhupada gives in the Nectar Devotion. Perhaps it's Rupa Goswami, and he's translated, that describes that a pure devotee sees everyone as spirit soul, Krishna's devotee, even the tiger. But the pure devotee understands the tiger doesn't think he's spirit soul. The tiger thinks he's a tiger. So therefore, we have to be careful how we deal with others. Absolutely. Agree with you 100%. We see the potential in everyone, and at the same time, we can't be foolish. Is that okay? Way over to the other side.
Thank you very much, Nūnaṁ. You're mentioning at the very end the need for staying humble. And at the same time, we know that Prabhupada wanted the devotees to apply the concept of unity in diversity. So devotees have various opinions from around the world, and sometimes resolutions are made and devotees say, well, I can't follow that resolution. And then politics come into a situation where there shouldn't be politics. There should be more of a humble approach of understanding what is this diversity in unity that Prabhupada wanted us to follow. Could you maybe elaborate a little more on that, and in terms of how we're all expected to ultimately follow the GBC resolutions, no matter what our personal opinions may be?
Well, I've been a member of the GBC for 25 or 6 years. There's a few decisions at GBC that don't sit well with me. And just for myself, just quickly, but I try to put those aside, understand that I have to be a servant to the servant. And we also know, just like there's this ISKCON leadership training program, it talks about, we have to understand that we're all going to make mistakes. We shouldn't think no one makes mistakes. In fact, if I can just relate a little story I heard from Shrutakirti in Boston just a few months ago at the 60th anniversary of Prabhupada's arrival in Boston, I had a chance to sit with him, and I don't know how the topic came up, but he told me the story that he was with Prabhupada. And he asked him, he said, Prabhupada, does the pure devotee know everything? And Prabhupada said, no, only Krishna knows everything. The pure devotee knows what Krishna tells him, which is, I thought, quite illuminating. So what to speak of? Prabhupada, according to Prabhupada, knows what Krishna tells him. So what to speak of our leaders, whether it's a temple president or a zonal supervisor or a guru or a sannyasi or the GBC. We all are going to make mistakes in judgment from time to time. As long as our intentions are proper, then Krishna, I believe, will rectify that over time. And part of, I think, unity and diversity is we maintain a cordial and respectful mood in our discourses. Just like, I'm not going to get into details, but there's been some recent issues of the GBC that weren't accepted by certain parts of the world. I personally feel that GB took an extremely humble position and said, okay, we'll give it another year. Okay, we'll give it another 3 years. I don't know whether that was the right decision or not, but I think it came from a spirit of unity and cooperation and respecting diversity. And if we maintain that mood, I think, Krishna will help us. And it's not easy, and that's why Prabhupada, he gave one instruction. He said the GBC, and I think he said all senior men should come to Mayapur every year, and he said to discuss unity in diversity. Because he knew that would be a big challenge for us. Diversity is going to come. It's going to get more and more and more diverse as time goes by, and that makes unity even more of a challenge. So it's something we have to really, really, really work on. Those are just a few thoughts. No questions here? Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for being...
All glories to the Delhi Yatra.
Thank you very much for an articulate, to the point, concise and effective lecture as always. My question is with regard to the last point in the purport, where it's mentioned that anyone can render service unto him according to the best of his ability. So often there is a tendency to perceive what we have as our strengths and focus on those areas of our strengths as our service areas. On the other hand, there is an organizational imperative which may impose upon us some do the needful kind of instruction. Yet we want to not leave that opportunity to struggle for Krishna. So how does a newcomer pace these things and balance them in order to choose the right service to please the Parampara? Thank you.
Well, one thing, usually the newcomers don't so much choose their service, right? We guide them, we suggest, they do certain things. And then I think at a certain point of our Krishna conscious development, we get more of a sense of really what I'm better at and what I should concentrate on and what I'm not so good at. I think that's just kind of a natural evolution. And at the same time, it's still the early years of the movement. So there is this sense of we have to do the needful. I mean, that's kind of like an underlying principle in Krishna consciousness. And we should learn to see what things that we're good at. If nobody else is doing them, okay, as the expression, right? A blind uncle is better than no uncle. But we should be good managers also and try to find the right people to do the right services, and both in terms of their attitude and in terms of their skills and their abilities. Both should be there. And, as an individual, if we're not sure, we should seek counsel of Diksha Gurus, Siksha Gurus, other senior devotees. And we should also be careful. One of the things in this leadership seminar, I just taught it in Kazakhstan and Malaysia and now here, we start out by having everybody draw pictures. What was your positive leadership experience? What was a negative leadership experience? What experience did you have where leaders you felt, lost your faith or there was whatever? And 9 times out of 10, the negative experiences, they were harsh, they didn't appreciate me, they didn't encourage me, they didn't understand my individual abilities, and they really was kind of like top down, you can't do this, very like, and all 9 out of 10 of the positive experiences are all, they appreciated me, they valued my contribution, they encouraged me, they told me you can do it, I'm here to help you, that different type of mentality. So I think in part answer to your question, we have to also make sure with the devotees we work with that we encourage them according to whatever their capacity is. As Prabhupada says here, whatever they can do, the best of their abilities. And we know there's so many stories throughout the Shastra that where, some big, Hanuman's like throwing boulders into the ocean and the little spider, or sometimes describe different animals, they're kicking grains of sand and Hanuman's telling him to get out of the way. And Ram says, no, he's as dear to me as you are. So it's not just some type of, modern, egalitarian, Western, whatever. It's Vaishnava, core Vaishnava philosophy that Krishna accepts whatever little bit we offer according to the best of our abilities. So we should see it like that as leaders and as more senior people to others. And with ourselves, try to understand what our abilities are, try to offer the best we can, but never forget that first and foremost we're servants. So it's not like, I can't do that. I've been around for 2 years. I don't pick up trash anymore. I'm a Brahmin. I don't do that. I don't clean the toilets anymore. I'm a Brahmin. I'm second initiated. I came 1 year, 6 months, and 37 days ago. You came 1 year, 6 months, and 39 days ago. I'm senior to you. You do it. That's not the mood of our... I mean, Prabhupada's standing in line waiting for the shower. Says it all. Prabhupada, you know, the man stumbles in with some paper towel and toilet paper. You know, drunk guy stinks off the street and stumbles to the back, and all the devotees that are there are wondering how's he going to respond to this. And he says, thank you very much, he tells them. And he says, just see how easy it is to begin your spiritual life. Some paper towels and some toilet paper in a drunken state, and the pure devotee says, thank you very much. That's the mood of this movement. That's why this movement continues to grow, and if we keep it alive, it can't be stopped. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.